Oh, hiya. I think we've been burgled and my wife's been attacked.
Whereabouts? What's the address?
We're on number 35, the Avenue in Middlesbrough, Linthorpe.
Right, is that where your wife is now?
Yeah, well, I've just come home. I was just out. I went to get something to eat and see the lads at work and get my laptop. And I've just come home and the house is ransacked. And she's just on the floor. She's got duct tape all over her and she's like unconscious.
Right.
Shall I take this duct tape off her?
Can she breathe?
Well, no, because she's unconscious.
Take the duct tape off her then.
Please, can you send someone quickly?
Yeah, I am.
The caller was 37-year-old Mitesh Patel. He came home and found his wife, Jessica Patel, brutally attacked laying on the floor. Cleveland police and paramedics quickly arrived at the crime scene on the lounge floor. The community of Linthorpe would soon be rocked as the tragic case began to unfold. Jessica was born in Leeds in 1983 and was the eldest of 6 children. Her father described her as a calm, gentle and happy child who never caused any trouble. She was close to her family, and Manal, her sister, was just a year and a half apart from her and described Jessica as a fun and happy person. She said she was really close with Jessica when growing up. She wasn't very loud but caring and was into her Bollywood films. She was the romantic kind and often dreamed of living her own fairy tale story. Jessica was a pharmacist and had a desire to help others. In the early 2000s she attended De Montfort University and then Manchester University after. She started a relationship with Mitesh Patel when she was at De Montfort Uni. They first met as a child but relationship ended shortly after but later rekindled. They both came from similar backgrounds and large Hindu families. When they first started dating, Jessica's mother was unwell, however Mitesh was there to support and showered her with gifts. July 2009. Mitesh and Jessica got married. After the wedding and living with his family, the couple relocated to Linthorpe, Middlesbrough. They purchased a pharmacy on Roman Road, the area which is fairly busy but known to be a safer area. Patel soon became a big part of the community, and they also bought a house nearby which they renovated. They were known to be private but well-liked locally. As they settled in, Jessica wanted to become a mother, however this wasn't easy as they had fertility problems. After several rounds of IVF, they had frozen embryos at a clinic in Darlington. May 14, 2018. The day was normal, the pair went to work and her father passed by the pharmacy. Mitesh took the earlier shift and then headed to the gym. 8:20 p.m. the 999 call was made.
Police emergency.
Oh, hiya. I think we've been burgled and my wife's been attacked.
Whereabouts? What's the address?
We're on number 35, the Avenue in Middlesbrough, Linthorpe.
Right, is that where your wife is now?
Yeah, well, I've just come home. I was just out. I went to get something to eat and see the lads at work and get my laptop. And I've just come home and the house is ransacked. And she's just on the floor. She's got duct tape all over her and she's like unconscious.
Right.
Shall I take this duct tape off her?
Can she breathe?
Well, no, because she's unconscious.
Take the duct tape off her then.
Please, can you send someone quickly?
Yeah, I am. Can I take your name, please?
My name's Mitesh.
Okay. And she's non-responsive.
No, Jess, come on, baby, wake up.
We've got Mitesh. Listen to me, please.
Baby, wake up.
We've got an ambulance coming. They're travelling on blue lights as well. Okay. And we've got.
Will you ring my dad, please?
There's nobody on scene, is there, Mitesh?
No, there's nobody here. I had a quick look around the house.
Okay. What room are you? Okay, listen. The police are outside. Can you let the police officers in?
It's Jessica.
I'll leave her with you, okay, Mitesh? I'll leave you with the police officers. Okay.
On arrival, emergency services tried their best to save Jessica's life. Sadly, she was pronounced dead at the scene, at just 34 years old. Manal received a call from her younger sister saying something happened in Middlesbrough and that their father was on his way there. Morning came, Manal and her husband woke up. She immediately felt something was wrong. He told her, her sister had died in the night. Police quickly sealed off the scene to preserve evidence and minimize any risk of contamination. Mitesh spoke to the police, stating Jessica was at work until around 7 that evening. And that he went to the pharmacy to collect his laptop and then went to get some pizza from a local takeaway. Around half an hour, he had returned to find Jessica on the floor in the living room with her hands and feet tied with duct tape. Cold and not responding. House had been ransacked. At the scene were ambulances and police, trying to work out what had happened. Mitesh told the police he hadn't been gone too long. After the heartbreaking news, the family came together and supported each other. Manal said, when she saw him he buried his head into her shoulder and broke down. Through some initial investigations it appeared that there was no sexual motive for the killing. The word began to spread in the area of the murder, and with the heavy police presence at the scene, the community was shocked and they found out who was tragically murdered. As no sign of forced entry was seen, the police concluded she must have known her attacker or let them in. They began looking at her inner circle. The CCTV at the takeaway helped create a timeline. From the post-mortem was revealed the cause of death was asphyxiation, also known as strangulation or suffocation. May 17, 2018. A man had been arrested on suspicion of murder. Mitesh Patel. Jessica's family and the local community was shocked. A seemingly loving husband and someone so well known in the local community, how could they commit such a heinous crime? During the police search, they found a hard drive in the bedroom and the link to the CCTV which Mitesh failed to mention. Running through the CCTV, police were able to determine a clearer timeline. 3:30 p.m., Mitesh arrived home from the gym and didn't leave the house. Around 7 p.m. Jessica arrived home. Mitesh then left the house at 7:44 p.m. and returned at 8:15. However, nobody else was seen on the footage, coming or leaving the house. 6 minutes before he called emergency services, the CCTV was disconnected. A suitcase full of clothes was discovered under the bed. A search of the pharmacy also occurred, finding 25,000 pounds jewelry in gold bars hidden in a safe and a plastic bag containing 2,000 pounds. Continuing their investigation, they looked into his phone to build their case. On the health app on iPhones, a feature they pair use tracks the heart rate in steps. This gave some crucial evidence, showing Mitesh pacing around the house and Jessica didn't move at 7:04 p.m. 40 minutes later, showing her phone had moved outside. The reason he moved her phone was to make it appear like the burglars had dropped the phone on their way out following the break-in. Shortly after, Mitesh had called 999. It is believed after this he was hiding the CCTV hard drive. Subsequently, Mitesh Patel pleaded not guilty of the murder of his wife, Jessica Patel. Manal would go on to say that 95% of what came out in court her family were unprepared for. The web of lies began to unravel. Mitesh Patel confessed to using the Grindr app and other apps to meet men. He told the court in his culture it is shameful and continued to say how he feared of being exposed as an Asian gay man and letting Jess down. One thing is the truth. I have nothing to do with killing Jessica. Oddly, the people who worked at the pharmacy were aware of him using the apps. They thought Jessica was unaware, but he was often seen on the app and was captured on CCTV with a man he had met on there. However, Jessica was aware of his affairs with men not long after their wedding, as he had began an affair with another male called Dr. Amit Patel, which continued for around 8 years. Repeatedly, telling Jessica it was over and because Amit had moved to Australia. However, Jessica would catch Mitesh on the phone to him. She confided in a family member and explained that he would be on the phone to him for hours and that their sexual relationship had become non-existent. Few weeks before her death, she found out he was back on Grindr and meeting other men. Few days before her murder, he had met a man and exchanged numbers, but he denied having any sexual contact with this man. Through investigations, phone data revealed he used the apps the day Jessica had died. He had also on previous occasions brought men back to their home. Nicholas Campbell QC led the prosecution, it was argued this was a calculated and callous murder, and Mitesh had researched for years on how to fake a crime scene and how to create the perfect murder. More facts were revealed, leaving the courtroom horrified. Jessica had been injected with insulin, leaving her unable to fight back. Following this, he began to stage a break-in. It was likely Jessica was still alive at this point, and then Mitesh suffocated her with a plastic bag. The bag was ripped, which shows there was a desperate attempt of her trying to rip it off her face. Mitesh denied these allegations and claimed he didn't need anyone else and Jessica was his best mate and he could tell her everything. More disturbing detail emerged. The court heard how he changed his story. Data found on his computer showed over the past few years he had searched how to hire a hitman in the UK and insulin overdose. Dating all the way back to 2013. Life insurance policies were taken out during this time totaling around £2 million. It became apparent his plan was to claim the money from the life insurance policy, take the frozen embryo and go to Australia to be with Amit and raise a child. Other things during the search of the property was found, including a list which detailed items he wanted to take when he fled to Australia. Chillingly, the staff at the pharmacy were confused with Mitesh's behavior when coming to the pharmacy on the evening of the death to collect his laptop. 3 scratches on his neck were seen, so it was believed Jessica had already been murdered before he left. When he went to the pharmacy, he was seen going to a storeroom which wasn't part of the building and not an area he usually would go to. One of the workers mentioned it was a bit odd how they didn't shake hands when Mitesh came as they usually did when seeing each other. A week or so before the murder, Mitesh coincidentally had a conversation with a neighbor about the local area, talking about the safety and calling his wife stupid as she would leave the door open and she will end up being murdered. During the court hearing, Mitesh's continuous lies were being exposed. He lied to his trainer about having baby twins as he was ashamed of 3 rounds of IVF. December 2012. Jessica's younger sister had seen messages between Mitesh and Amit. Messages involving how much they loved each other. Minal said when they told Jessica, he blamed her for meddling. Jessica told her family to leave it. The next year the couple moved away to Linthorpe. Jessica voiced her concerns to Minal about Mitesh spending a lot of time on his phone and leaving the room at times when she walked in and took his phone everywhere, like it was glued to him. Jessica didn't know his passcode either. A teenager who worked at the pharmacy mentioned that a few months before Jessica's death, he had shown Mitesh the dark web. From weapons, drugs and to hitmen were all for sale. Mitesh took notes. He wanted to be able to navigate back to the dark web. A second time the pair went on the dark web, Mitesh searched for insulin and suicide. In court, he admitted to watching a video detailing how long it takes someone to die from being strangled, but said he watched it with Jessica and called it ironic. He continued to claim he was not the one who murdered Jessica. Throughout the investigations, police uncovered more about this seemingly happy couple. IVF was a difficult experience and the investigation found that Mitesh had secretly taken a drug that reduces his sperm count, making it improbable that Jessica would conceive naturally. Her father also discovered that Mitesh threatened to end the marriage if she did not continue with the IVF treatment in April 2016. Confiding in her GP that she felt pressured, which led to her having cognitive therapy, later to be prescribed medication for her depression and anxiety. Jessica's grandfather had become ill and was nearing the end of his life. Jessica wanted to be with him and her family. Mitesh refused. One night when they were driving, Jessica begged to be with her grandfather. Mitesh hit her. He had also thrown a phone at her. Pharmacy staff members had claimed seeing Jessica limping, and he would shout at her, leading her to be full of tears. Jessica confided in her family few months before her death that Mitesh had put his hands around her throat. The abuse continued. She became more withdrawn and isolated and started losing weight. Nicola Taylor, a forensic scientist, testified at the trial. When the police arrived at the scene, they had seen the scratch marks on his neck, which he claimed he got from Jim. DNA evidence from Jessica's fingernails came back as a match, showing she was the one who scratched him. His DNA was also matching the ones found on the plastic bag used to kill her and on the tape used to bind her hands and feet. despite him claiming he pulled it off when he found her. In the interview with Mitesh, he didn't cooperate and offered no information, simply saying there is nothing to tell. 12 days of trial. The jury deliberated and considered their verdict. The jury would deliberate for around 3 hours and Mitesh Patel was found guilty. He received a life sentence with a minimum term of 30 years for the murder of Jessica Patel.